Welcome to a brand new season of the podcast. With a new season comes a new name in the Oscars Central podcast moving forward. There's so much to talk to you guys about, but I want to give the floor to my co-host Kenzie here to kind of break down what to expect from the Oscar Central moving forward.
Yeah, we're so excited. We are changing the name, changing the look. We're going to focus on just the Oscar season itself. Obviously, that is very far away as the Oscars were a week ago. But we're going to build you guys a calendar of what to expect with festivals, movie releases, voting windows, the show dates. We're going to bring you all the news, whether it's wins, nominations, eligibility announcements, acquisitions. We're going to try to bring you as many interviews as possible. And the big Oscar board is going to be even better this time. And we're going to bring you just some other surprises. So stay tuned and check it out.
Yeah, I'm excited about the transition. It's going to be a lot of fun. We've already got some things in the works. By the time you're listening to this, there'll be a couple articles up and stuff like that. But of course, we're also joined by Jacob. How are you today, bud?
I'm good. I'm excited for this change. I know I've talked to Ricky about it for a while now, and I'm glad we got Kenzie involved. But I think having a year-long Oscars awards chatter talk type of thing would be exciting. I know it's something that I've always been interested in. The day after, sometimes the day before the Oscars, I'm already trying to look at next year's who could be next year's nominees, stuff like that. And so hopefully there's people out there like me who, love this stuff year round and always want to be taking in more Oscars talk and more awards chatter and all that kind of stuff. So I'm really excited for this. I'm really excited for the site. I'm excited for, everything that could and will come from this.
If we haven't plugged it, I don't even know if we did. It's OscarCentral.com is where you can check out the website. I don't know if anyone of us said it, but there we go. There it is, if you're wondering at home. But what can you expect from the show today? So obviously, as Jacob and all of us have, we've had an interesting last 7 days since the last Oscars. And what we're going to break down today is there's so much chatter about what worked, what didn't work, what we can change. There's so many different things that the Oscars get wrong yearly, and sometimes they do get right. So today's episode is going to be highlighting how to fix the Oscars. But first, Kenzie, I'll let you have the floor first. I want you to tell me what worked about this year's Oscars for you.
I was thinking about this because, the order, I guess, the order of the awards, that was like something. They did the best picture last. When we said we were going to talk about like how they can fix the telecast itself, I was like, we're being kind of negative. Like, what is positive? And I was like, this year, nothing. Like, literally, it's been a week, and I can't tell you one thing. Who did work? Who did work? Vanessa Hudgens as a red carpet.
Yeah, she was great.
She was great.
Yeah,
she was really enthusiastic. She seemed to have watched most of the movies.
Yeah.
And I think that was part of ABC, so I guess that's kind of part of it. I think just like that helped me because I typically watch E, not ABC for the red carpet, but we were all watching ABC together. And I like listening to people before they go in, talk about to other people about the movies that are not just saying like, you were great in that movie. And this wasn't part of the telecast. This is bad, but like that really worked. It made a difference to me seeing someone talk to the nominees on the red carpet about the movies, having seen the movies, as well as she kind of had an understanding of how to talk to all the nominees, not just like celebrity nominees. Like she was talking to editors, and it seemed like she knew what she was kind of, she got a sheet of like what to say, but like she seemed like she studied it. Like,
Mhm.
she did a good job. She treated them all as equal nominees, not like this celebrity that I know is more important than this nominee who's a below the line nominee, which really works for me in a sense. But otherwise, nothing worked for me. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I
Jake,
think I think the biggest thing with Vanessa was just the enthusiasm, and that's like one thing that I always want from presenters, from host, from even before on the red carpet. Just be enthusiastic about the movie and like celebrate the movie. Which we'll talk later about the whole celebration thing. For me, I am with Kenzie a little bit, where it's really is like even with the whole debacle of what happened in 2021 and everything, there were at least like stuff leading up to it that I remember that was like, oh, like I did enjoy this.
Regina
This
King
year,
walking in.
yeah, yeah. The presenters, love the presenters in 2021 way more. um, but yeah, I like the order. I did like that they were trying to um, that they were trying to like do remembrance or like pay respects to past films and stuff like that. And since this isn't like the negative part, I won't talk too much about it, but I just think the flow of it didn't work. And I thought it was very out of place. But I did like that they seemed that they were trying to like be like, oh, let's remember, this anniversary, this whatever. But other than that, I agree. There just wasn't much this year that I can like latch onto and be like, oh yes, like I love this part.
Yeah, so for me, the telecast was what it was. I really like, for me, I did the same thing, Kenzie and Jacob. I did the same thing you guys did. I sat down and I was like, all right, what do I remember about the telecast that I liked? And I just remember liking the fact that we all watched it together because that's what made it more fun. And then I was like, man, so I try to remember the things that I did like. I didn't hate some of the different things that they incorporated, like you said. And I do think they could have done a lot better job of trying to introduce some of these things to these people. And I'll talk about it a little bit more later. I didn't hate the way they incorporated the Oscars fan favorite thing. Like, do I need to see it again? Probably not. Would I care? No, because I thought it was going to be like a 10-minute segment about it. And then it ends up being a commercial for it, and like what felt like a commercial. It was just a very forgettable broadcast completely. And yeah,
The
I
fan
really
favorite
just
thing needs to be voted on during the show. I think you're
Kenzie's
muted.
muted, so she's trying to talk.
I've always kind of thought about this. Like, there are other award shows that incorporate like Twitter response
Mhm.
into their telecast. And I thought like that's what they were going to kind of do when they first announced there was going to be like a Twitter aspect to the broadcast. But then it was like, vote now. And I was like, this kind of makes absolutely no sense. Like, it's not encouraging people to watch the show because,
No.
like, I don't really think they cared what the results were, one. And two, they were going to find out on Twitter the way we found out winners of actual Oscars. So,
Oh,
like,
if they cared about what the fan favorite results were, they would have definitely made different fan favorites. They would
yeah,
not
it's
have
just
chose
like,
those.
it just, and I searched immediately when they announced that one of the options was from Dreamgirls. Not one person sent a tweet. Like, you can search by date of anyone on Twitter with the hashtag, and not one person tweeted Dreamgirls. So I do not know. That was cheer moment, not fan favorite, but I don't know where that came from. Like, not one
Yeah,
person sent a tweet.
like
Like, I
you're
I
trying to
think that was an Academy plant, and it's a very random plant. Like,
you're trying to
why?
tell me that the Flash in a 4 hour long like streaming movie is the number one cheer moment in the history of movies.
That was
Like,
the thing. At first, I thought they meant from the past year, and I was like,
Mhm.
"Oh, it's just gonna be Justice League, whatever. Like, that's fine. Like, whatever." But then I was like, of all time, like of all time, this is the moment. Like, no.
Also,
when they showed that the last place was the Matrix thing, I was like, no, no, this is bad.
First off, who went into the Matrix knowing, oh, he's gonna like do like a back bend and dodge bullets? No one was watching that, and they were like, oh wow, let's go. He did that. Like, that was like maybe unexpected, but that's not like I don't know if anyone like started cheering because of it. It's not in that in the first Matrix.
It's just very unsettling. It's just not the way to get like participation from the internet, to do it like ahead of time.
Not at all.
Yeah, no, even if you do it in the mid telecast and Zack Snyder's movie does win, it at least draws the people to force them to watch it, to vote. And you know, the ratings were up, but was 1000% expected from across the board. You know what I'm saying? Like, it was expected that the ratings were going to be up. And yeah. All right, so I asked both of you guys to join me in trying to figure out how we could fix the Oscars. It was crazy because it was supposed to be like what worked, what didn't work about the Oscars. Really, nothing really worked, and then everything else didn't work. So that's what we'll just transition to. What changes to the Oscars would you make? And we have several ideas. Kenzie, if you kick us off with your first idea that you have to kind of reshape, and we're going to fix the Oscars telecast.
Okay. I'm just going to go big. My first idea has to do with the Academy itself and the telecast. I think they need to add stunts and casting. I think these are two awards that are not only necessary for the state of what movies are now, but like they're also just very necessary to recognize these crafts. But they're a great way to get viewers. Like, you're telling me you don't want to add stunts, which like is recognized elsewhere. Like, SAG even recognizes it. Like, recognize it here. Imagine the presenters you could get for stunts. Tom Cruise would come out of that Scientology cave and present this award with like, he would really care. Like, he would care so much. It would mean so much to him, not only because he himself does stunts, but like he works with stunt teams to develop like new types of stunts and like really base what kind of stunts they're doing based on like the work that is like works. So that would just be incredible. You could recognize all of these big budget action films with The Rock, or like comic book films, like all the films that they're wanting and complaining are not in Best Picture. Like, this would be a great place to not only recognize them, but it's like deserved. Like, they're doing incredible work that's really unique to their films. This is a great place to recognize them. And casting, what they tried to do with some of these tributes, which whatever, like, imagine the reunions you could get to present this award. And like, that's something that people that are outside of the Oscar film Twitter like bubble understand. Like, they understand, like, oh, this person selected these people and got them in the movie. Like, it just seems like things everybody wants. Like, everybody who watches the Oscars and is aware of Oscars and what goes into it wants these categories added. But I also just think like the average Joe, that they are so focused on getting to watch this show, would watch it if like they thought they were going to see Dwayne the Rock. Does he go by The Rock? I don't know. Remember when he's like Dwayne the Rock Johnson? But like they would tune in if they were like, oh, he's going to be there and Chris Evans. Like, I don't know, like that could help. And not only would they be there, but their films would be recognized. And I don't understand why it's so difficult to acknowledge these crafts. Like, I think it would just really be great for us as Oscar enthusiasts, but also average Joe. Jane.
How cool would it be for like the Oscar clip to be the stunt itself showing it versus like the actual, you know, I think that would be so cool.
Yeah. So I was going to talk about this later, but so like there was a year, I think it was 2017, they showed like the clips first. It was when sound editing and mixing were still split. Mm-hmm. They showed clips like showing what sound editing was. And I think Chris Evans introduced it, actually. I think it was him and this girl, I can't remember her name, but I think it was Chris Evans. But they showed, like, this is specifically what sound editing is. This is specifically what sound mixing is. And if they did that with stunts, like, just spend 5 solid minutes, like, showing these, I just think it would be so cool, one.
Awesome.
And I think people would really want to see it. Like, what you see is a finished result on, like, with editing and green screen and whatever. But, like, this would be, I think it would be so cool.
Yeah, because they recently released the No Way Home video of
And it's
Tom
gone
Holland.
viral. I don't even
Yeah.
like that movie, and I've seen it a million times. Like,
Yeah, and it's really cool. Like, it's cool to. I always enjoy watching those type of things, just because. But adding that to the Oscars would just add an extra element that would be really cool.
Yeah, I've always thought that, and I've always thought choreography as well. I mean, you just take
next
the
year,
big scene of West Side Story.
Next year, how many musicals are there? There's like a bunch.
I'm not sure. I'm not sure just yet, but yeah, there's going to be a bunch again.
Just the easy category to add, like easy. And you could do like not only clips, but you could do. Remember when they did the score, like the orchestra played it? They could have dancers like dance what, instead of during in the
memoriam. Yeah. See, and I think it's a perfect segue for me, because what I want them to make it a 2-night telecast. Like, that's my biggest thing that I think would work very strongly. The Emmys do it because obviously there's 100 and some Emmy categories, so obviously there's a big difference there. But I think for me, like, the 2-night thing would really highlight some of the not just of course above the line, but the below the line creators. You hit it spot on. Like, Tom Cruise would show up with bells and whistles on. People are going to show up to watch Tom Cruise present this award. But I really feel like this could be really beneficial. You make it a 2-night event. You give everybody an opportunity to give the speeches that they're supposed to give. Like, that's the big thing that everybody took away from this. Not only did they not show the 8 categories on the air, but when they did show them on the air, the speeches were edited down. It was weird. It was wild. It was wonky, et cetera, et cetera. So that to me is another thing that I wasn't super fond of. But there's so many different things that you can do here. You can get more advertising. I think you get unique audiences to watch the shows. It's just something that would make so much sense that, you had a 3-hour broadcast. You were worried about cutting down time, and then you ended up having a 3-hour and 40-minute broadcast, and you cut 8 categories regardless. So it never worked. So a 2-night event, I think it would be really cool. It'd be different, and I think that you could really just bring so many different layers to each of these members of the Academy, and then, of course, we would get the speeches that each one of these people do deserve. Like, it's just, they deserve that type of thing when you're winning an Oscar. Like, this is a big deal for these people. Like, watch some of them win the Oscar and how they react. And you know what I mean? If we get that moment for each of these people, it would be really cool. So I think we should make it a 2-night event. Jacob.
Going off what you just said, my biggest thing, and it's been my biggest thing for a while, is what is one of the things that gets so many people to watch the Super Bowl that don't care about sports? It's, we've got a brand new Nope trailer coming out in the Super Bowl. Like, stay till halftime and you'll watch the brand new trailer for Nope. The only trailer we saw during the Oscars this year was a trailer for Buzz Lightyear that we have already seen once before. How many people would have tuned in for, a 5-minute clip of Doctor Strange? How many people would have tuned in for the first Avatar 2 clip, the first Thor clip, the first, Black Panther clip?
I really thought they were going to do The Little Mermaid. Like, I literally, Eric Anderson and I were like, they're going to do it. It makes so much sense. And then they just didn't do it. Like, they only it's like, I'll get into the Disney aspect of all this later, but like, to only show us something we already saw when they have so many things coming out this year was very, no offense, strange. Like, sorry for the pun, but like, it was very strange. Like, I was like waiting for the Little Mermaid trailer or like Avatar 2 or like anything, and they just didn't. They just gave us Lightyear. with the pre-recorded message.
Especially when like would people just watch it on their phones after the fact? Yes. But there's also so many people that are like, oh, I want to see this before everyone else. I want to tune in before everyone else. I'm going to turn the Oscars on for 5 to 10 minutes and watch this, whatever. Even have it on in the background and wait for it to go. That's what a lot of people do with the Super Bowl. Honestly, that's what I did for most of the Super Bowl this year, was I just had the Super Bowl on.
I saw Zoe say this, and I like completely echo it. Like, I only watched the Super Bowl because of that. Like, one, I didn't want I had FOMO. Like, I didn't want to miss out on people being like, I saw this trailer first. But like, also like, I would like some of those trailers like wait till the next day to drop. And I was like, I want to be part of the conversation. Like, they're not movies I want to see. Like, I don't care about Doctor Strange. I'm sorry, Sam Raimi. I love you so much. But like, I don't care about that. But everyone was talking about it. Like, so I was like, I'm not going to miss that. And it's exactly what you're saying. Like, people will watch it to be first. Like, that's all that matters sometimes. And it's like, is it true that they don't let Netflix advertise after the Irishman thing? Is that like a rumor, or is that true?
I don't know.
During the Super Bowl?
No, during the Oscars.
Oh, I don't know. That would be interesting.
Because they did that Irishman thing, which had no footage. It just straight up said the Irishman Netflix.
I remember that.
And we all freaked out. We were like, holy shit, this is so cool. Like, I was waiting on Apple to do that with the new Martin Scorsese, and they didn't do it. Like, we've gotten an image. Just put the image on the screen with the title card. Like, this winter. Like, boom. Like, actually, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, like, they could have done that. Like,
especially when Apple last year, like, got ahead of the curve and put Marlee Matlin in the Oscars. Like,
it's just really weird. Like, I've never understood why the Super Bowl is the movie thing, especially since normally the Oscars are like a few weeks after. They're never this delayed.
Well, it's just because you're having 100 million people watch your, that's the big thing is like you have 100 million people getting ready to watch your trailer. That's the big thing. But like, the thing about it is like that's still 20 million, like 15, hypothetically, you have 15 million people watching your trailers, and it makes no sense to me why you don't try to put something into the universe.
Especially like there were like all those reports way before it came out, they sold every commercial spot, that they weren't going to be able to sell every commercial spot. I'm like, why didn't you just fill it with your own commercials? Like, yeah, it would have been like, we would have all complained, but like if it was trailers, we would have complained way less.
Exactly.
Like,
yeah. I guarantee you, and this might be highballing it, I don't know, but I guarantee you if they would have had, let's watch the first trailer for Thor 4, because the movie's only 3 months out and we haven't gotten a clip, at least 5 million more people would have watched.
Because like, so my sister is a huge Marvel person, and she asked me if they were going to show a trailer, and I was like, I don't think so. And she's like, I would have watched it if they were going to. And I'm like, she was like,
yeah, because you can even build it up in the telecast. Like, you can even play it up in the telecast. Hey, after this commercial break.
They do that at the bottom. They're like, next up, presenters. You could easily do it with a trailer, especially if it's their own property. Like, it makes
coming up in 5 minutes, check out the Thor trailer. Everybody's on Twitter saying, hey, they're about to show the Thor trailer. And
you know what they should honestly do? They could have done like how, because we already had a Doctor Strange trailer, we already had a Lightyear trailer, so they could have done new trailers for all the ones we already had like earlier in the broadcast, and then done the new ones at the end and like hyped them up, like you're saying, throughout the telecast, because they're always so worried people won't watch the end, which is such a lie, by the way. No one is sitting there for 2 hours being like, you know what, I'm gonna turn it off. I don't care about Best Actress anymore. Like, no one is doing that. Like, it's not like the last two are like animated short and live action short and the general audience doesn't care about those. Like, they're literally the lead acting categories and best picture and director. Like, maybe the general audience doesn't care about best director, but like they definitely care about the other ones. But right before you show director and picture, drop the Thor trailer, drop the Avatar 2 trailer. It doesn't even have to be a trailer, honestly. They could have dropped like the Irishman kind of style thing and people would have lost their minds. Like, you know what? Netflix, shame on them for not being like, here is every movie we have coming out that you actually care about, aka Knives Out too. Like, what?
You could have done
Didn't
like a
they do it?
60-second clip of like, yeah, because Netflix does that at the beginning of the year. Like they show like a 60, like I don't know if it's probably longer than 60 seconds.
But it was
like
like
a 2-minute.
it was literally a 5-second clip of Knives Out 2, and that's all anybody really cares about, like general audience and awards audience. They could have
Yeah.
easily been like, they could have given us the title. They could have given us the title.
Yeah.
With the same clip. Like none of us care. Like
Or him
that's
sitting
like,
down talking and saying something. Just
yeah, he could have
a third-
recorded a bit. Like
Yeah.
I don't.
He could have
I don't
honestly
know.
just
Yeah.
said donut, and everyone would have lost their mind.
I would have lost my mind.
You know
let's
what
be
though?
real.
You know, speaking of that, another thing. What is another thing that maybe not now so much because everything's on streaming, but another thing that used to get so many people to watch the Super Bowl, and you watch at least the last like 20, 30 minutes, and it goes right into the newest Grey's Anatomy episode, the newest Glee episode, the newest Blacklist episode.
Okay, I remember watching the Super Bowl so I could watch the Glee episode.
Yeah.
I'm a former Gleek, I will admit it. But like the Oscars obviously don't do that because it's so long, but like just start at 4.
Mhm.
Like, I mean, they technically
You already did
this
start
year.
at 4.
They did this year.
Yeah.
Like, it's clearly not an issue. Like, just start at 4, like airing the telecast at 4, and they could easily do it. Like, and it's on ABC. They could do a special Grey's Anatomy episode. I mean, it's like what, 27th season? Like, just do it.
Or
Like-
you just have something like, oh my God, just think about if it was like, oh, watch the end of this and it leads into, which again, this should have been on streaming. But if you had the show streaming on Disney Plus, watch the end of this to watch the first trailer or the first like episode of Moon Knight, but you can only watch it through the Oscar stream. So you have to watch the end of the Oscar stream into the first episode of Moon Knight, moves on with it.
That's a really good idea.
And it's like,
and that's the other thing. Like you could,
And
especially
they could have
if
done
it's
it like
ABC.
different things. Oh,
Yeah, because like even if it's ABC products, you could have had Chris Hemsworth show up to the fucking Oscars and say, "Hey, everybody, here is the Thor trailer." You know what I mean? Like, fuck. Like you really have.
Okay, so this was one of my biggest negatives of the entire broadcast was that it was very much we are an ABC Disney property. So one, they did fill a lot of the ads. Like there were so many Hulu ads. Like it was insane how many ads were Hulu, which is fine, but it was the same ones over and over and over. I saw the Kardashian one 4 times. Like
it was the same ads you get on Hulu too.
Yeah, and the thing is, they weren't new. Like I've seen the same Kardashian trailer on my phone 2 weeks ago. Like I get it. The girl from Plainview, like, yeah, I was excited, but like it's the same trailer you guys released a month ago. Like it wasn't anything new. And 2, it wasn't movies. Like this is not the Emmys. Like this is the Oscars. We're honoring movies. Like, sure, if it was a movie for Hulu, I would have been more excited. But the other thing was that Chris Evans package that was like edited in, and he said, "Congratulations to Troy Kotsur." Like, no, you cannot do that. Like, one, did he record a message for every single possible winner? That's weird. 2, like, because what if Troy didn't win? Like, I know Troy was like one of the biggest like locks, but what happened if he didn't win? Like, would they have just not shown that? I don't know. But they made the trailer like part of the broadcast, and that really rubbed me the wrong way. Like it's like the thing with who's from Mitchell's spoke out being like, you can't advertise your animated feature as part of like the promotion while voting's going on. But it's very much like this was a Disney show. Like they performed that song that wasn't nominated from a Disney movie. Like, yes, it was weird in a remix, quotation marks, but like very weird. But it's like, I'm not watching this show to watch a Disney thing. Like, this is an organization. Like, it is not a corporation putting on this show. Like, don't do this. And then the other thing is, like, we were all so excited for the possibility of the Only Murderers stars hosting the show, which would have been a Hulu tie-in, but it would have been fine because like Steve Martin and Martin Short are like comedy legends, and Selena Gomez would have really helped with like getting a younger audience in. So it would have been fine with me as long as they didn't like promote the show in the broadcast, like, because they did give us a new trailer for that and a date, which like the internet went wild because it was something new. It was the only thing new. We got the whole broadcast in the commercials. Like, do you know what would have happened had they just shown like a 3-second clip of Avatar with the date at the end? Like, yeah, I know we know the date, but it's like people would have gone nuts. Like, we kind of knew the date for the
but even so, like, we know the date. The casual person might not know the date, so they might get excited about that. You know what I mean?
It's just, and it's really weird to me because I just thought about the Knives Out 2 screening was the next day. They could have easily shown a clip.
Is ABC like opposed to like showing award like other maybe now?
That's what I'm saying. I'm pretty sure something came out right after Netflix did that Irishman thing that they weren't allowed to anymore or something. But it's just like, I'm not sure.
Why?
Please don't quote me on that.
You're gonna spend money then.
It's just like they needed to focus on movies and they focused on TV. And I'm assuming it is because the Super Bowl got all those ads. But you're telling me they couldn't have fired up a really good like new Doctor Strange trailer? Like I've seen the same one like 30 times. Like I like, as someone who grew up with the Spider-Man Sam Raimi movies, you could have enticed me with something new. Like, not me, but like someone else.
Someone else.
I also, just the Oscars advertisements in general, I don't know. I started seeing a lot more the week of, and every single one was the same advertisement. That was like, we promised this is going to be the biggest opening ever. And when I was so let down that it was just them three up on stage giving like a normal monologue, I was like, okay, so like,
so
what is this?
I was confused if they meant that or like the Beyonce performance.
The Beyonce thing, yeah.
But the thing is about the Beyonce performance, it wasn't at the Oscars and it was pre-recorded. Like, and like, I wish they would make a bigger deal of the original songs being performed. And I know they probably couldn't because one of the 5 was not performed. But like, you're telling me they couldn't have talked to Jamie Dornan, who attended, being like, do you want to do a movie month, like a movie ripoff of the 2 songs you sang in the last year in movies? Like, tie it into the movie. Like, I just don't understand. Like, it's like, she was Beyonce. It's fine to like use her for like that. But also, how many people watched her perform and then turned it off because they saw Beyonce perform? Like, you have someone of that magnitude, and then
you open with that big of a banger. Like, people that wanted to see Beyonce.
They should have opened with Bruno. Like, I'll never understand this. Like, they made it to where it wasn't really like the song everybody wanted to see performed, but like, I saw so many people, and like, I have a baby, and like, what if my kid wanted to watch that? It was on super late if you were on the East Coast. Like, do you know how many kids probably didn't watch it because they went to bed? Like, it's just like such poor planning, like the whole thing. And it was, every ad was like, we're promising the biggest opening ever. And like, whatever they meant, like, I'm assuming they meant the Beyonce thing, but even if they did just mean the 3 hosts, no, like, not the biggest opening ever. Like, do you know which one was more memorable to me? The stupid Justin Timberlake one. The Trolls song. Like, I remember that.
Well, I was gonna say last year when they did Husavik and they did it in like, what is it, Iceland, and they had like the fireworks come up and all the kids were singing, and like, you did, like, I was like, that one was much more.
Last year the opening was Regina King just walking. And I remember that more. We all were yelling at Steven Soderbergh, and listen, he likes movies. He made us a broadcast representative of that. I'm kind of glad this put some respect back on my guy's name. My friend calls him Soda. She's like, Soda's so cute. Soda's such a talented filmmaker. But we put some respect back on his name. I'm fine with that.
Yeah, that's a big emphasis of trying to fix the Oscars is also stop the criticism of the movies. Like, it's, you know, it's
really painful. Like, it's doing the opposite of, you know how like there's always reports of spikes of people watching the films after the Oscars because they're like, I didn't even know about this movie. It must be good. And they watch it. They're not going to check out The Last Duel if you're like, here's a movie nobody, including the director, saw. Which one? Do you know when people watch that movie and ask me why it wasn't up for any Oscars? because it was on
I've had a few
HBO.
people ask me
Like,
the same thing about the
You're
last two.
telling me people weren't on HBO seeing a movie with Matt Damon and Ben Affleck being like, not gonna watch it. Like, that is if that movie had been a streaming movie, it would have been the biggest movie of the year. Like,
Yeah.
I know it couldn't be a streaming movie, and I'm really sad I didn't see it in a theater. But like, to make a joke like that about a movie that's not even nominated is really like hurtful. And it's Ridley Scott. He's a director that like the average person kind of knows. Like,
Mhm.
but the Power of the Dog things, there were so many jokes at the butt of Power of the Dog that I like. It just like
It
really
almost
hurt.
felt choreographed to a T. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it was
Like,
was
it's
so
only one director, and then it was like, let's bash the movie the entire
entire
broadcast.
night. Yeah. And that's the thing, you're right, because people do watch the Oscars and then they're like, oh, well, The Power of the Dog won Best Director. Maybe I'll give it a try. But after 3 hours and 40 minutes of saying it's the worst movie ever made, none of the average people
Also-
are going to go home and watch The Power of the Dog now.
Fun fact about that is that Wanda Sykes is like, I've been watching it. I've tried to watch it 3 times, and I'm only halfway through. The broadcast was way longer than
Yeah.
Power of the Dog. Like, way longer. Like,
It's longer than
every
all the
joke they
movies
made,
nominated.
literally every joke they made about a movie being long, I'm like, it's not as long as this broadcast. Like,
No.
That's also my issue with all the like late night hosts talking about it, is it's like they're just bashing the movie. Like, nobody's gonna watch you complain that a movie's boring, and you complain that a movie's not watched by people, but you're gonna sit up here and talk about how boring it is, how long it is, how everything it is, and so people aren't gonna go watch it.
well, that, and then like you have the cast on. Like, so
Yep.
Jimmy Kimmel bashed Power of the Dog. So now Benedict Cumberbatch is going to come on to promote Doctor Strange.
Mhm.
And like, to me personally, like, you're telling me in a year where Dune, one of the highest box office performers in the world last year, was boring. 2,
Yeah.
you're telling me that, yes, I understand Power of the Dog is not for everyone, but like, if you're saying this is inaccessible and it stars a Marvel actor, what are you going to do about a movie that is smaller and does not star these really famous, well-known people? Like,
Mhm.
it's not only insulting to this movie in particular, but it's insulting to anything like smaller or like slower, or anything that is more subtle, or anything that has like no stars. Like, what are you saying about those movies? Like, I just don't understand it, because I love that movie, but also just like, you were hired to host this show honoring these movies, so don't dishonor them.
Mhm.
Like, it's just really infuriating. And the other thing about Mr. Jimmy Kimmel, Mr. James, is how many times did this stupid guy host the Oscars?
Yeah.
Didn't he
Yeah.
host twice in a row? Like,
Mhm.
shut up. You got your
He was the
check,
last
and now
two
you can
hosts.
just, like, I don't understand. Like, get on your jet ski and get out of here. I can't with him. Any of the James, really. And now the Trevor.
I like Trevor too. It made me sad.
I really like Trevor, and I was like,
Damn it, Trevor.
I understand what he said is not
Yeah.
bad, but it's just like, one, the people that are gonna be like, this is correct, are not ever gonna watch the movies. And 2, they're like, I don't eat vegetables. And 3, like, they're not gonna understand that is what he's saying. Like, they're not gonna understand it's a positive thing that he's saying. Like, I'm so angry about it still.
All right, whose turn is it to name something to fix the Oscars?
I think it's yours.
I did this
We're
for the
going-
Tea
Oh, yeah.
telecast. Kenzie?
Oh, so what do I want to say next? So I think, well, one, I think we all are in agreement that they need to show every category on air,
Mhm.
every single one. So I guess I'm going to make everyone mad. I think skip a host. I think we have proven that you cannot have a host. I don't think they draw in anything to the audience. Like, it would have if they had gotten good ones, but we all know they are not booking their hosts now. they waited way too long to book a host, and that's how we got 3 random hosts. Like, whether or not you think they did a good job, they were very random. I don't know who it was appealing to. I don't know who they were trying to get. Whereas if they had gotten the host they wanted, like, we would kind of all see where they were trying to go. I think they need to focus on presenters being good presenters, like not only like reunions a bit as presenters, but like just presenters that appeal to people, but presenters that also have like chemistry. Like every single time they've had Kristen Wiig present, she's always been paired with someone that she is known to work with or be friends with, and it's always really great. And I just think like if they focused on that and did it ahead of time, they could get so many great presenters and focus on people that understand what they're presenting and are going to do more than just read a cue card. And I think if you get enough presenters and good presenters, you can create a flow to the show. And I don't even mind if they do the presenters presenting a presenter. Like, I don't care as long as it flows and it's good. We waste so much time on monologues that are, one, not honoring the movies, and two, have nothing to do with the movies. Like, you can easily tell that like Jimmy Kimmel, every time he hosted, did not watch the movies he's talking about. Like, it's fine to make jokes at the expense of the movie as long as like you watch the movie. Like, the other thing about the Wanda Sykes joke about not finishing Power of the Dog is Jane Campion looked so pleased that her movie was being mentioned when they showed her. Like, she had the biggest smile and they cut away from her. I know she was probably a little like, what are you doing? Like, it's insulting, and there's a way to like make jokes at movies but still uplift them. Or like if you really watch them, like you could have made a joke about like who is Bronco, like, you know, like there just weren't any jokes that were like flowing. But I think as long as they flow and you have presenters that make sense and are not like, here's the 23rd anniversary of something, I'm saying that because 23rd, like, why 23rd? Like, why 28th? Like, wait 2 years to 30. I don't understand. But I just think there's a way to, like, not have a host because it takes up so much of the time. And we're seeing them be, like, you know, right away, they're going to be, like, 3 hours, 40 minutes, and those 8 categories were out. We don't need to show them. Like, we need to cut more. Mm-hmm. And I personally think the way to cut time is to cut a host, and as long as there's some flow, which you would achieve with like one, great programming, like knowing what you're going to do and how the awards are going to flow and who's presenting them, but also like, we're going to do this presentation, then we're going to do this performance, then knowing when those are coming up and when they're appropriate. Like, I don't think a montage is appropriate when there's like 5 awards left. It feels very like come on, like, let's get through it. But if you pace them appropriately and you just have really good presenters, I don't think a host is necessary, because we had that one year where there were no hosts, and I think it was Steve Martin, that came out at the beginning.
I think so, yeah.
Yeah.
And he just like made some jokes and then presented. And I'm like, that is fine. Regina King doing a big walk and then like making some jokes and then presenting an award, like, that is some good flow. Like, just do that. Like, hosts take up way too much time. The awards themselves are more important than monologues that nobody cares about. That's my next suggestion.
Going back on that, going to the jokes. If it was a roast session, it would have been funny, but I hated the joke about Don't Look Up. Like, say what you want about Adam McKay, say what you want about the movie, whatever, but it's like he's there trying to celebrate something he created, and you're just going to harp on him and be like, oh yeah, do you remember when your film got bad reviews? It's like,
and it's like, reviews are not what the Oscars are about. Like, when people were like, this has the lowest Rotten Tomatoes score of any Best Picture nominee, I'm like, okay, but like, it's also nominated in editing, which I don't agree with, but like, that editor is getting nominated for an achievement in his work. It's just really like mean-spirited. Like,
do you think anyone would have gone up to Glenn Close and been like, hey, do you remember when your movie got like a 15 on Rotten Tomatoes? Like, no.
It's like, it's that same thing again that we were kind of talking about with Vanessa Hudgens of like, people that are celebrities kind of get like a pass, and then people that are like not well known to like, I think Adam McKay is like kind of well known to the general public, but not like in a sense like Glenn Close, or like if Leonardo DiCaprio was there, would they have said that?
Mm-mm.
Like that's the thing that bothers me is like
They would just make another. They just make another joke about how he doesn't. You know,
he wasn't even there when they made that joke. Like
they make it every
like,
year. Every year.
It was only funny when Tina Fey and Amy Poehler did it. It was only funny when they did it, and it was at the Golden Globes that they made a really great joke about at the Oscars, I will say. But I think Don't Look Up is one of the worst movies I've ever seen. But like
you didn't watch The Bubble yet.
Oh God, yeah.
We won't be talking about that at Oscar Central. That is not Oscar Central material.
That's a bad word here. I've tried 3 times and I still am only 40 minutes in.
It's so bad. It's so bad.
So good. But I just think like I dislike that movie, but that joke also really bothered me. Like you're just roasting movies and the people that made them, and the camera was on him, and I was like, this is really, really mean. Like, how are you supposed to react? Like, I don't like it, and I don't think if Leonardo DiCaprio or Jennifer Lawrence were there, they would have made that joke. And it's even weirder because it was Amy Schumer that said it, and she's like besties with Jennifer Lawrence, which makes me wonder, what does Jennifer Lawrence think about it? The movie, not the joke. The movie.
Jacob.
I'm gonna piggyback something, which is my biggest thing, off what Kenzie said, and just really bring a better flow to the show. The reunions, that was the word I was looking at. The reunions were so choppy. You're gonna have the 28th reunion, whatever. Like, if you're gonna do it, but you're gonna do it for Best Actor and not Best Original Screenplay, the only Oscar that Pulp Fiction won.
That, or like do Best Picture. Like, I love how they did Best Picture.
Godfather do Best Picture.
Also, can I ask about something with The Godfather? Outside of why was P. Diddy, Puff Daddy, Sean Combs the presenter of this? Robert De Niro's in part 2. He is not in the movie they are honoring or like the anniversary of. Second, they showed clips of part 2 and part 3. It is the 50th anniversary of the first one. It is not the 50th anniversary of part 2 or part 3. Like, what are you doing? And then you have Al Pacino and Bob De Niro come out and they don't speak. We know Al Pacino had his headphones. Like, I don't understand. That was a weird, it was not only like disrespect. Like, I tweeted weeks ago, I was like, I'm going to bawl my eyes out when they do that. I was so confused by the music choice. Clearly, there was some sort of strike with the editors because it was not edited very nicely. And it was just weird. It was weird. It was really disrespectful. I was really excited, and it was like a stump speech and then bad clips. Like, I don't know.
With that, so another thing I did like was during the in memoriam when they had like Bill Murray come up on stage and like give like a speech about Ivan Reitman and more people like that. To keep a better flow, how much better would it have been to end with Sean Connery, have every living James Bond on stage to talk about him, to talk about Bond. Now you're celebrating Bond and the 60th, or Sean Connery and the 60th anniversary, and then go right into the song that's nominated for an Oscar.
Okay, so like that, but also like, why did they not do the song after the tribute? Also, okay, did anybody watch the show? Because they were like, Tony Hawk is going to be there. Like, no, all of us were like, why on earth is Tony Hawk at the Oscars? Like, it made no sense. It was so weird. But you have Dame Judi Dench. You have Javier Bardem. You have Rami Malek all in the audience, and you don't have them introduce the Bond tribute.
Yeah.
Like, And that's just who was there. Like, who knows who you could have gotten had you been like, we're going to do this. Please come present the Bond
Christoph Waltz
tribute.
is not doing anything right now. He could have
Except
shown up.
working with Woody Allen, right?
He's not doing anything.
Yeah,
He's not doing
crazy,
anything of note right
and
now.
especially since this was the final Bond of Daniel Craig's like hurrah.
And you're
Like,
not
you
even going to invite him.
Like he
I mean,
should have been there.
We don't know that they didn't invite him, but I just
yeah.
assume they didn't invite him because, like,
Yeah.
But
and you really have like the double segue there, especially with ABC. Like you have so many different things that I don't know. I'm just annoyed. I'm annoyed because like I really like Bond, big fan of Bond. Like it's like a good thing, you know what I mean? So it's like I don't know. It's really just pissy.
I will say that package of clips was edited the best. It was just really strangely presented. And then I also just feel like they really missed not having it flow into the song. Like that was like, I don't know if that was like some sort of decision, but it was very weird to have, especially because Rami Malek introduced her. So I'm like, why didn't you just have him up there with this? It's just weird.
That was my issue is like you're going from James Bond to The Godfather, back to James Bond to Pulp Fiction to We Don't Talk About like it just
the other thing with the Pulp Fiction was I kind of missed that they were doing the dance until it was over because they kind of did like the clip and then they showed John Travolta and then they panned to Uma Thurman really fast.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't realize they were both doing it. Like, I don't need to see them individually doing it. Like, it's not a movie that they're like, this is them doing in real time. It would have been cool to see them like sharing the stage and showing them both. Like, they panned over one and then one, and it was so fast that it was like, oh, they did the dance. Like, it felt really random. And I also feel like, why not wait 2 years and just have them all come back? Like Quentin, like and then just, I don't know. It was weird to show like a clip of it for 28. And then they introduced, like you're saying, not the category that Pulp Fiction won.
Speaking of, did anyone know that Samuel L. Jackson's an Oscar winner? Did any regular person know that Samuel L. Jackson?
Can we talk about they only named on the broadcast 2 of the honorees that got like honorary Oscars? They didn't name the full class of the honorary winners. Like that is so disrespectful. And don't they normally be like, oh, last week we honored separately?
Yeah, they show like little clips of it. Like they edit
do that.
Yeah, like, they normally edit the speeches. They normally edit those speeches down.
Yeah. But like, so I don't want to get into like what happened, but like, it's just this week, there's been so much negativity about what happened between 2 actors. And I feel like we had such a positive, amazing thing with Denzel. Like I watched really bad like hand iPhone recorded videos of his introduction to presenting Samuel L. Jackson his honorary Oscar, and like that's a moment I wish I saw, and I hope they release it like in HD. Like it is so heartwarming, and it just makes you feel really good about the industry at a time where like now we're all like, this makes me uncomfortable. And it was just like nice to see like someone like Denzel present someone like Samuel L. Jackson to like icons of cinema, and then on top of it, Samuel L. Jackson is like the highest box office actor of all time. Like,
he is.
And you didn't show that on TV. Like, it's fine.
And everybody knows Samuel L. Jackson.
That's like the thing is like, not only does everybody know him, but he is one of those people you're like, oh, he doesn't have an Oscar. And people that are outside of the Oscar universe are like, what? Like Samuel L. Jackson doesn't have one? And it's just like, and he was recognized for like, not only like his contributions in film, but all of the charity work he does. And that would have been a great way to highlight, like donate to these causes. And it just felt really like horrible. And then especially like Bill Murray went to the Oscars and he presented at the honorary Oscars. they could have easily had everyone who presented at the honorary Oscars come up on stage and be like, this is what we presented honorary Oscars earlier this week. Here's a clip package of it. Like, essentially, Bill Murray wore the same hat. He wore the same full outfit. You could have fooled us, made us think it happened today. Like, it's just like, and Samuel L. Jackson looked so happy when they showed him. And I'm like, this is like such a dig to not show someone that's such an icon of cinema and pop culture and so well known receiving an Oscar for his lifetime of work. And you're just like, that guy has an Oscar. And they kind of like made fun of him. And I know eventually he like started laughing, but she was like, I don't think he deserved it. I'm like, this is not funny. Like, I know she was saying like a joke, he should be in a rom-com, but like, don't dig someone who like doesn't have a voted on Oscar and has an honorary Oscar. It's just like icky. I didn't like it. I don't know.
Yeah, it's definitely weird. They need to get, I like the idea of getting social media involved. I do think it was funny. Like we talked about it the day of, we had kind of insinuated about how like, it was like, oh, hey, they're going to have TikTok involved. And then it was like, no, we're going to have Meta and Facebook or Meta and Instagram, whatever whatever it's called, involved. And it was so weird, but I really feel like you could bring such a different audience to these people, because if you have Vanessa Hudgens, who really, like you said, really highlighted the red carpet, you could have had those clips uploaded on TikTok in like a matter of moments. That's just how we know how that works. And it gets the visualization of the Oscars and the Academy Awards. Like people, that's what people do. I find myself doing it way too much myself as well through TikTok.
Yeah.
But if you're providing like real, unique, different content to some of these things, to some of these social media, even TikTok's got TikTok Live. You can be live on TikTok. You can have all these different things to attract the people to watch the Oscars or even watch clips of the Oscars, because it's not always going to be, not everybody's just going to want to watch. Like it's what clips are they watching after the Oscars are over as well? You know, the red carpet aspect, but like what acceptance speeches and stuff like that. Like entice the people to watch the stuff outside of social media. Leading up to the event, have what you have past winners. What did your Oscar win mean to you? And have them do like a 60-second video of what them winning the Oscar meant to them. Post it to TikTok. You know what I mean? Like there's so many different ways you can utilize social media and track a younger audience, because it was like, I agree with you. I thought about it. I was like, they were trying to attract a different audience, especially younger generation as well. And then it was like, you have Amy Schumer, Regina Hall, and Wanda Sykes in this. It's like, you're right. Who did that bring to the table? It's like, bring the young audience in.
I do feel like Wanda Sykes brought in an audience, and Regina Hall, I was excited about. Like, I grew up watching Scary Movie. Like, she means a lot to me. Support the girls. Like, love her. But I don't think she like had an audience she brought in.
Right.
And then, especially because her show just ended, so I don't know how, like, what audience she brought in.
Sure, yeah.
And then Amy Schumer, it's funny because a lot of my friends told me they're watching her Hulu show, but like I was like, did that get you to watch the Oscars? And they were like, no, because like I realized it after. I didn't realize it when it was like she was hosting or when they were promoting it. Yeah. And then the thing is, it's like, I thought they were using TikTok, or when they announced influencers were going to be backstage, because I was like, TikTok is what more young people use. And then I realized it was Instagram, and I was like, what? Like, what are you doing? Like, who is that attracting? And then they were like partnering with Facebook. Like, that crowd is either watching or not watching. They're not going to watch because you have influencers. Like, I don't understand that. But TikTok, like, they're going to Cannes Film Festival. Like, they're clearly ahead, minus the Netflix thing. But it's just very bizarre to focus on, like, a social media that isn't being used by young people in the same way that, like, TikTok is. And I'm sure, at least they didn't do Snapchat. At least they weren't, like...
TikTok just won a Grammy.
Yeah, literally. So it's just... It's weird, but I do think I just want to say, like, I don't think they should incorporate this into the show. I just thought like TikTok backstage or on the red
Yeah,
carpet wouldn't
that's
be
what
a
I mean.
bad thing. Like, I know people were angry about it. I would have been angry if it was like in the broadcast, but it being backstage, like we don't even know that's going on when we're watching. Like, who cares? Like,
But like, how
and
cool would it be for them to like interview, like just have the interview ready of like somebody as soon as they get off the stage right after they win the
yeah,
Oscar, and have like a 60-second clip of them just talking about just winning,
like one of
and
my
then upload
favorite
it.
photos of all time is Emma Stone and Brie Larson hugging after a win, and I'm like, you could have captured like a clip of that, and with their permission, like it would have been really cool to see clips like that. I mean, obviously,
Mhm.
one of the wins, I wouldn't want to see what's happening backstage, but like majority of them, like I want to see who embraced Troy after he won. I want to see
Yeah,
like did Kenneth jump in someone's arms? Like
yeah,
I
exactly.
want to
Yeah,
see this kind of stuff. And it would have been
yeah,
cool if someone like, if you have someone that's designated, like it could be the Academy's TikTok and
for
it could
sure.
be Cinema Joe. Um, just like capture it formatted for TikTok. Like I just think they missed the boat. And especially because there are people like me that use TikTok for like house cleaning stuff, but I started looking at Oscar stuff because I thought they were using TikTok. But like I just scroll in bed after like watching like a
Yeah,
million TikToks and like people would stop if they saw a celebrity. Like people stop. As long as it's not an ad, they're gonna stop. And it's like they missed the boat. No one's doing that
Jessica
yeah.
anymore.
Here,
Chastain loves TikTok.
Yeah, she loves TikTok.
yeah, you literally just
She would have had her assistant being like, this is how you do it. Like her
yeah, you
getting ready
literally
for
have
the
a video
film
of her like
TikTok.
walking off the stage and just saying a few words. Hey, how do you feel right now? Like
Or
that's the
hear
thing.
me out, they could have had someone stationed at the engraving station.
Yeah, or that. Yeah. And as they're getting it engraved, they say something about it. You have so many different options there to incorporate. Because the thing about it is it's not always, especially if you watch network television, which I don't because I don't have cable, but like it's not always about that first view, right? You know what I mean? It's about traction on social media. It's about the views after the fact too. What kind of views, like the video that got made with Variety and Troy, like it's a brilliant video. Like it's been shared like a trillion times. It's a fantastic
But see,
video.
the
Like
thing is, they could have done something like that formatted for
Hmm.
TikTok. Like, it's
right.
like wild. They couldn't do that kind of
They
stuff.
could have
Like,
done something like that and formatted it for the Oscar show.
literally,
But
literally.
yeah. All right. Who has something left to say?
I think one thing I really want to bring back up again is that showing like so they're focused on getting people who don't know about most of the awards. Like they only care about the above the line awards. I think because they show clips for the performances again, yay. I think that they should show like packages kind of for all the below the line nominations. So like one year they showed like a clip with like a script below it for the screenplay
Mhm.
categories. And I think like doing something like that, or like I brought up earlier, the sound editing and sound mixing, pour one out, they're one category, but showing clips that like highlight the tech categories would be
Yeah.
really cool. And I think like in the same sense they do a bake off for visual effects and makeup, I think they could do something like that, but shorter, clearly, for the broadcast to just show like the kind of work that's being performed. And it helps people become more invested. And like we're all invested because we have an understanding of like not only the work that goes into it, but what the categories are specifically honoring. Like we spend so much time debating it ahead of nominations, ahead of the awards themselves, between the nominees we get. Like if they put together a package of like this is what went into the editing of this film, I feel like people would care a little bit more, like the general audience would, and they'd be a little more invested into what's winning. Same thing with like we get a performance of every song, and that is why so many people are irritated at Sam Smith's win over Lady Gaga's, because that performance was so powerful. And I feel like that would slightly help in the other categories where like we were all like on the edge of our seats for cinematography, and poor Woody Harrelson was so funny, but I wanted to strangle him. I was like, just spit out on cinematography, man. But like I feel like if they put together little clip packages of like what highlighting these specific nominations, people would be a little more invested like that. Like other people were like, this guy's so funny. But all of us who were like, is it Dune or is it Power of the Dog? We're like, just tell me the answer. But nobody else had that feeling if they weren't invested in the like what was going on. And it's like, I just feel like they don't do a good job at like they want to cater the show to the general audience by caving to what they think the general audience wants. But I think they could tweak the show to be like what us, the film kind of audience, cares about, but offer it in a way that works for the general audience. And I think a large part of that would be having someone behind the scenes that really cares about movies and the award show itself. Like caring about movies the way Steven Soderbergh does is kind of what gave us the broadcast last year. But like if you had someone who cared about award shows and cared about movies, which I think are two separate things, you would really like get the best of it, because it needs to be someone who's done it before. Like I'm not sure if Steven Soderbergh ever did an award show, but like it had no like flow. It was like each section was kind of like its own entity. And I feel like what gets lost and gets general audiences not tuning in is they're like, this is a 3-hour show and it's going to feel like it. Whereas like if you have someone who creates flow, who has a great structure to the show, you could really like get people to stay tuned and be interested in it. And I think like that's the thing, is you've got to create interest. And if you're not focusing on that and you're focusing on like, is this guy here? Is this person here? Are we showing The Flash? Like, it's like, it kind of like loses what the show's about. And I think people, like the general audience, I mean, can sense when something's phony and like not real. And like, I feel like the packaging, the way they did Fan Favorite and Cheer Moment, like felt really like we're trying really hard to get you guys to care about this, versus like, let's have an award that highlights these movies, versus, because their idea for popular Oscar is clearly not coming back, I assume. But it's just like that felt very forced. Like this is the least we can do. It's like,
yeah, that was a pass down.
They could like, if you think about it, like visual effects, when was it introduced? I don't remember, but it was like when these movies started becoming more and more
bigger deal, yeah.
And like it was kind of their way of getting like the big action, the big James Cameron movies like honored. And it's like we could easily do that with stunts. And I just think that is the easiest way, where it's not like a fake like honorary thing. Like a lot of people would have been like, you only put Spider-Man in Best Picture because you kind of like succumb to what the general public wanted, versus like it like earned that honor. But like stunts, nobody would be arguing. Like nobody would be like, why is this in stunts? Like nobody would be doing that. It would feel really true to form and honoring the movie in the best place for it.
Well, again, it's like you said with the Spider-Man clip, you lengthen that out just a little bit and you show like the first half of he's doing the stunt, and then you put it in the VFX.
Yeah.
Like, oh, this is how they, kind of built this. And I just think stuff like that would be actually just really cool to just show.
It would be cool to show like as people that care about it, but it'd also be like the average person at home would be like, that's how they did that. Like, it's like out of tune with like how this works. But they could do it for so many things. And like the way they did score, I think it was 2020, the broadcast. Yeah, because it was from the Joker one.
Yeah.
They played the scores with the orchestra. Not only was that a great way to be like, we have a live orchestra doing this show, but it was also a great way to be like, here are clips of these scores we're honoring. And I feel like they know to do stuff like that. And they have to know we all thought it was so cool. Like, I literally watched a mirrored video of it because they edited out of the clip. But it's so cool. I just feel like if they really made the show more so about showcasing the nominees, it would be better for the broadcast itself. And it would help with the audience. Like, I think if they just understood, it's fine if it's 3 hours, 15 minutes, 3 hours, 20 minutes, it's fine. But as long as it's like about the show, like if it's 3 hours, 40 minutes and you're doing a song that's not nominated and you are showing like all these like reunions that make no sense, that aren't even good, like Of course it added up. And how many times were there like 10-minute monologues because they had 3 hosts? Like, they don't need a 10-minute bit every time we see them. Like, just huge problem. No host.
Yeah.
That's my
no host. Yeah, I agree. All right. Is everybody good? Everybody have their thoughts out about the Oscar? I really feel like it's something that it's not that hard, right? You know what I mean? And I think you pointed out perfectly of having somebody that loves the Academy Awards, knows how to create an award show, but also loves film. You know what I mean? Like it's. I mean, if you think about the people that were nominated, like you said, you have Benedict Cumberbatch, who's part of a massive film that's coming on, a massive universe coming up. Like, you couldn't get him more enticed to, people know who he is, whether he's a part of Power of the Dog or not, he's a big name there. So, but yeah, I'm excited about next year. We'll probably have this same exact podcast the week after. Like, how can we fix the next year's awards? Because
I'm really sorry, just like poor, like, I don't feel bad for Will Packer anymore. Like, I'm sorry, worst broadcast I've ever watched. Like, it was the worst show. And I just want to
Could you imagine if we weren't watching that together?
I don't know how I would have kept watching. Like,
it was rough.
But I really want to clarify, I do not mean because of the incident that happened that it was.
I would try my best not to bring it up. Like,
it was about the disrespect to the categories, not presenting them, the way they edited their speeches on air, that it was not presented in full, and like the transcript will not be full either. And just the way it was not about the awards. Like, it was not about the recognition of these films that were nominated. And it has nothing to do with the winners. It has nothing to do with this incident. Like, it was just a bad telecast. Like, everything about it was bad. And they disrespected not only the nominees and winners, but they severely disrespected the people like us that watch this as a sport. Like, it wasn't fun. It made me really doubt my love for the Oscars. That's why we're doing this, honestly. I want to feel good about them.
Yeah, you're right.
I want to love the Oscars again. And it's like, I'm going to work on it. It sounds so dumb, but like, they're my thing. And I'm going to put a lot of energy into liking them again. And hopefully they read Ricky's article on OscarCentral.com and fix their broadcast for next year. They can hire me. Like, they can hire me to produce something. Like, I can
because the thing about it is like, I'm okay walking away with the Oscars being heartbroken over somebody losing, because 98% of the time it's going to happen, right? You know what I mean?
Not only that, but sometimes I remember the losers more than the winners. And it's like,
that's fine. Give us a good broadcast where I'm getting mad about it. You know what I mean? If the only thing we're talking about the week later is about how upset we are about X, Y, and Z losing their, Bradley Cooper losing again. I tweeted something out and Kenzie didn't see it, and that made me feel really good about myself, because I think she would not show up on the show. So now she's going to go find it and block me on Twitter. But this is, first off, an exciting first step. I'm very excited. I'm very excited to bring more, and I really didn't get into it big time because everybody knows I'm a betting head. I love to bet. I do sports bet. And I really got heavy into the betting odds, and we really didn't talk about how terrible, boring the predicting of the Oscars were this year. It was just so cut and paste, copy and paste for a lot of that. But yeah, so with that being said, OscarCentral.com. Make sure to check it out. Kenzie, what is the Twitter?
It's Oscars_Central.
Okay, that's what I thought. I wanted to make sure. I didn't remember.
Same thing with the Instagram. They're all Oscars_Central, because someone out there has it without the underscore. If you are that person, please give it up. You have 0 followers and 0 tweets.
We will give you $1.
Speaking of another thing, Twitter needs expiration dates for people who use
their Twitters.
Yes, because I want to get rid of the underscore in Valero. So Ricky Valero underscore. I want to get rid of it. But that's beside the point. All right. Thanks for listening, guys. We love you guys. Make sure to check out the new website and check out all the cool stuff that we're coming ahead with. And I'm very excited for this award season.